Hey guys, and welcome to this little tutorial that we are doing on the Mumbo channel on how to do a whoosh transition using Adobe After Effects. Now there are a few things I want to say before we begin this video. First off, you are going to need to get yourself some whoosh sound effects. You can pick up some of those on the internet. There are plenty of really good ones out there. I'll put links to some of those down in the description. And also the next thing that I want to say is that if you're not using Adobe After Effects, I wouldn't worry. The skills in this are very transferable between editing programs. It's going to be a pretty similar process wherever you go. If you're using Premiere Pro, you could be using Vegas. I'm sure it is all going to be very similar. But this is what we are going to be creating today. It looks pretty cool. It uses some very simple keyframing and also a little bit of sound effect action, and I really quite like it. So you want to get yourself started with a fresh, brand new blank composition, and we're going to be dragging our first video clip in and the second video clip in as well, and you want to make sure that they overlap just a little bit. Now one thing that you may notice is that my timeline is very zoomed in, and that is because we're going to be doing some fast keyframing in today's video, and I like to be right in on the action. Being able to differentiate between each keyframe makes for some pretty easy video effects. So what you want to do is make sure that your video clips actually overlap, and you want to select the second one and hit P on your keyboard. So that is the P key, and that will bring up the position of that second clip. Now obviously what this allows you to do is move the clip around inside the frame, which can come in very handy, and that is what we are going to be using today. So what you want to do is head to the beginning of the clip, and you want to press this little button here. Now what this will do is it will start up a keyframe. So at this time, that is where the position is going to be. Then you want to go to the beginning of the clip and grab this part here and drag it across. Now you can see the little squares on the screen are moving across. That is because if we solo that clip, you can see that our actual clip is moving across the screen right here, and you want to drag it so that it comes almost to the edge. You want a little bit left over, just a tiny bit of overhang. So as you can see, it will go from that right hand side and it will come across into the middle. Now, if we make this first clip visible again, as you will notice, we don't really have much of a transition going on. It still looks like a jump cut, and that is because this second clip here is actually beneath the first clip, which means that you can't see any of that motion. So what I want you to do now is hover over this first keyframe. Make sure that you exactly over that keyframe. You'll be able to tell because this little part down here will actually highlight gold. And what you want to do is grab this squiggly thing and drag it over to the bottom clip. Now what this will do is it will parent our first clip to the second clip so that it follows the motion of the second clip. So as you will notice now, both of the clips move across the screen at the same velocity. It looks like the one coming in from the right is actually pushing the first clip off to the left, which I really quite like. Now, there is one bit of a problem though. As you will notice as they go across, it doesn't look particularly good, and that is because we don't have any blurring going on. You don't get the impression of motion. So what I want you to do now is head over to the motion blur toggle that you can see here, turn both of them on, and make sure that this toggle here is activated. Now you only have to do that once, and that will activate motion blur for the entire composition for all of the clips that have it toggled. And as you can see straight away on the screen, we have some really nice motion blur, and it looks pretty realistic. Finally, this wouldn't be much of a whoosh transition if we didn't have that lovely sound effect. So hopefully you've downloaded one of those. Once again, links to that will be down in the description. But the video file that I've got has actually got a bunch of different whoosh sound effects, and we need to choose which one. So what you want to do is have the whoosh sound effects file selected, double hit L, and it will come up with the waveform. And now what we have to do is drag the size right the way down to the whoosh that we want. So I want this one right here. So what I'll do is I will grab that and I'll just solo that so it is just that on its own. And then what we have to do is line up that waveform with our first keyframe. So get our little playhead here and hover it over the first keyframe and then drag this so that it starts as the transition begins. Now what I'm going to do is hit L once again because I need to turn this down a little bit, as the whoosh sound effects generally are really quite loud. So I'll put that on minus 10 decibels right there. I will change up my RAM preview area so we can get a nice little preview of what this looks like. We'll hit the RAM preview button and we should have ourselves a very nice transition indeed. So there it is, and now we will listen to it with the sound as well. Here we go. Okay, that is absolutely perfect. So you've now finished the little whoosh transition, and I hope it looks good in your video file. If you followed this tutorial correctly, then it should be looking absolutely fine. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.